Welcome again to Benchling for Startups. Before you can start recording research on Benchling, you'll need to set up projects and define how users can access that data. Admins are responsible for creating and managing both projects and permissions in Benchling. This training is particularly relevant for your company's admins, though it might also be helpful for other members of your team as a high-level overview of projects and permissions. In this video, you'll learn how to set up projects and permissions in your Benchling deployment. We'll guide you through this process, helping you choose the best strategy to organize your company's data and set your team up for early success. In particular, we'll walk you through setting up projects and folders, which help organize notes and data, and project and user permissions, which define how your employees can access that data.
In Benchling, projects and folders, which are modeled here, are the main tools you will use to structure all of your data. Projects are the highest level of organization in Benchling. Folders are nested within projects. Notebook entries and inventory files are stored within projects or in folders within projects. Access permissions are always set at the project level. Navigate to projects by clicking on the briefcase icon. You can then create projects by clicking on the plus icon in your project side panel. You can also add a project from the Global Create button in the left navigation bar. Each of these options will open a form in which you can specify the name and optional description and collaborators on your project. In this case, let's name the project after a research target, BRCA2. We'll assign read permissions to everyone in our organization and admin permissions to the organization's admin. We'll cover what these permissions mean later in this video. Projects will streamline data management as your company grows, so we recommend carefully designing your projects as you onboard onto Benchling. To set your company up for success, we recommend structuring your projects by target, like in this example, by employee, or by program. These frameworks have been implemented by other companies who started using Benchling at your size. The target framework is best when your company organizes data based on targets for therapeutics. The employee framework is best when employees tend to work independently and generate unique data. And the program framework is best when members of your team work on distinct research platforms. Once you've decided on a project structure, you'll need to set your folder structure. As a reminder, folders are nested within projects. They provide an additional level of organization for notebook entries and inventory. When desired, folders can be nested within another folder. Let's create a folder. First, open the project in which you wish to create the folder. Click the plus icon, then click Folder. You will be prompted to specify the name of the folder, its location, and an optional description. You'll notice that there are no permission settings here. Permissions are assigned by project, not by folder. Anyone who has access to a project will have access to all folders within the project. Let's name this folder after an employee, Roger. You can see that all of these folders are named after employees. Like project structure, we recommend using specific frameworks for folder structure. The framework that you choose at the folder level will likely depend on the framework that you use at the project level. For example, if you structure projects by employee, you may choose to create folders based on the targets that that employee is working on. Now that you know how to create and structure projects and folders, we're going to walk you through how to assign user roles and manage project permissions in Benchling. User roles determine whether users serve as admins or as members of the organization. These roles can be set from the Organization Settings dashboard. Navigate to this dashboard from your avatar by clicking on your organization's name. On the Members tab of this dashboard, you can set user roles. Choose whether users serve as admins or as members. Only admins can set these roles, can set project permissions, and can create projects and folders. We recommend that you only designate 1 or 2 admins for your organization. Permissions to access data in Benchling are determined by project. There are 4 permission levels that users can be assigned for each project: admin, write, read, and none. These permission levels are summarized on your screen. Permission levels can be managed in several ways. First, project permissions can be determined each time you create a project, as you saw earlier. We'll now show you how to manage permissions from the Projects tab of the Organization Settings dashboard. In the Projects tab, find the folder for which you'd like to set permissions and click on the gear icon that appears. The Project Settings window will pop up. Set permissions for the entire organization first. If you want everyone in your organization to access the data in this project, choose Read or Write. If you only want specific users to access this project, choose None. Next, you can manage project permissions for individual users. Specify whether each user gets admin, write, or read access to all of the contents of the project. If specific users don't appear in this list, search for their name and add them as collaborators. You can then set their individual permissions. In this case, we'll give 2 users write access. Here, you can also set auditor permissions. If your organization chooses to use our Witness and Review functionality, you must assign auditors to each project. Auditors are responsible for reviewing and signing off on notebook entries. We'll cover Witness and Review in more detail in a later training video. With admin or write access, I can create an entry in a project. I am now the author on this entry. By default, only an admin or the author of a given entry can edit that entry. This means that even if a user has write permissions for a project, they can't edit all of the entries in that project. They can only create and edit their own entries in that project.
We've now covered how to create projects and set permissions in Benchling. Remember, before your company can get started on Benchling, admins must configure projects and permissions to structure data sharing and collaboration. On the customer success team at Benchling, we know that companies who carefully design projects and permissions are most effective on the platform. We like to share a few key tips with our clients. First, think ahead about your company's expected growth and plan projects and permissions around your expectations. Second, use projects and folders to intuitively lead employees to the right information. Third, minimize the number of nested folders. Having too many can be very confusing. And lastly, when you decide on your project structure, clearly explain your project and folder structure to all Benchling users at the company. For a comprehensive reference, you can also review our written Projects and Permissions Overview, linked in the Startup Resources portal. In our next video, Admin Training, we'll cover other tools available to Benchling admins. Thanks for following along.